Africa's Catch Penny Press Prize for sensational news and propaganda goes to... And the nominees are...
Africans are extremely vulnerable. The rural population doesn't have adequate sanitation, healthcare is fragile, and in large, overcrowded cities, there's no way to impose social distancing.
Empathetic, Florence Nightingale-inspired humanitarianism alongside equally furnished news outlets of the 21st century.
It's going to be horrible in the developing world. And part of the reason you're seeing the case numbers still don't look very bad is because they don't have access to very many tests. So, you know, look at Ecuador. Look at what's going on in Ecuador. They're putting bodies out on the street. You're going to see that in countries in Africa.
Isaac Newton pays homage to scientific fact-checking and research in journalism.
Is not contained. The study suggests the pandemic could infect between 29 million to 44 million people in Africa. These shocking projections are based on the assumption that no containment measures have been put in place.
Based on the assumption that no containment measures have been put in place? What are these people talking about? Oh, and these guys even do six-pack sensational news packages. You just gotta give it to them.
A United Nations commission is warning that the coronavirus could kill a minimum of 300,000 people in Africa and create catastrophic poverty. It says Africa is acutely vulnerable to the pandemic because of its packed urban population centers, scant hospital resources, and lack of water and sanitary infrastructure in many areas. CDC says 10 of Africa's 54 countries lack a single hospital ventilator. John, economic stimulus responses, Africa does not have the fiscal flexibility or space to deal with the shocks from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Commission says the continent needs, quote, double access to financing from the International Monetary Fund and other foreign aid.
Like many other Africans, they've been left with a choice: hunger or infection.
Africa's coronavirus apocalypse is coming! I mean, for sure you could provide more insight as to how we do have existing, but stretched yet well-functioning disaster preparedness systems, and in this case, epidemiological structures. But no. Africa needs loans. Aid. Charity. Even more charity. Assistance. Spoon feeding. And ass wiping.
Africa's got so much more to deal with than this virus. Unrest, famine, even deadlier diseases.
Even deadlier diseases? COVID 20, 21, and 22.36 is here with us, people! From Africa to the world. Oof.
Faire cette étude en Afrique où il n'y a pas de masque, pas de traitement, pas de...
Oh, the nerve. The cluelessness. The shocking sense of oblivion here is just beyond me.
Yes. The Commission says the continent urgently needs emergency investment. It calls for $100 billion for health care and another $100 billion in stimulus money to ward off an economic collapse.
I tire my people. But you know what? It's not over. Because meanwhile, Madagascar is on the news, and not just because it's a title in a Hollywood blockbuster flick.
Madagascan President Andry Rajoelina has officially launched a medicine he believes can prevent and cure patients suffering from COVID-19. Developed by the Malagasy Institute of Applied Research and branded COVID Organics, President Rajoelina presented the so-called remedy to the press on Monday.
Senegal, too, is representing.
Senegal is doing what most countries can't, testing everyone, symptoms or not, entering a health center for the novel coronavirus. It has no shortage of testing kit thanks to this lab at the Institut Pasteur. Researchers are developing a $1 quick diagnostic kit.
Kenya.
It is the third ventilator prototype to be made locally. The ventilator, which has been approved by Kenya Bureau of Standards, will receive the final approval by the Ministry of Industrialization in 7 days. This will pave way for mass production of the ventilator to be used by hospitals in the fight against coronavirus disease.
Somalia is also on the news, but this time it wasn't bombs that were going off, but doctors.
The federal government of Somalia sent medical staff to Italy to help in the response on the coronavirus pandemic. According to officials from the Ministry of Information, 20 doctors from Somalia's National University have arrived in Italy to join the global response to COVID-19 in Italy.
So are these same news outlets reporting this? Because if you ask me, I think Africa is having equally inspired Alexander Fleming moments here. Anyone? Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Tanzania, Senegal, and I believe Congo, have pledged support for Madagascar's COVID organics. Amazing. Thank you. Trade and support of each other will propel us to a bright future. Buy African, sell the right African narratives, and build Africa. Sure, we do have challenges as individual African countries and as a continent, but the West and their media should stop blanket covering Africa as incapable. I'm not asking that we walk blind into our weaknesses. No. Oopsie, I didn't see that. But that we mainly consider our possibilities, ideas, ingenuity, and our strength. We are our own problems and we are our own solutions. We have experts, not just victims. We are active, not passive. We are strong and autonomous, not just dependent. Viva Africa.
What is the continent of the future? The answer is Africa.